Welcome back. In this video, we will discuss about the cancellation context from context package. Context are thread shape. Context are immutable. If you want to add a new behavior to the existing context, then you have to derive or create a new context from the existing one. Each derived context has few functions like cancel, error, and channel done. Let's talk about the scenario. Login scenario. Let's talk about login request flow. User sends the request to the application. In this request, server receives the username and password. Based on this request, server creates new context, that is login request context, as a child context from the parent. So the login request context derives the behavior from parent context and makes database call, as well as it validates the username and generates the response. So the response can be a valid or invalid one. Let's say the login request context is created with cancel method and database call is created with timeout. So the reason we are using with timeout to make a database call, we want the database call to finish within a given time frame to generate a response, as well as we are making sure the login request is cancelable so that we can cancel the request. So both we are covering our tracks and ensuring the request is there is no memory leak happen during the request. So during this process, the chain of function calls right from receiving the request to generating the response must propagate the parent context or replace it with the derived context. When a context is cancelled, all the context derived from it are also cancelled. This helps to avoid the memory leak. What are the different ways we can create a context? We can create a context using different methods. So the methods are with cancel, with timeout, and with deadline. So what are the common things between all of them? They all are cancelable. They take parent context as an input and generate a new context of a context type and add the optional behavior to this context. Derived context has values from the parent context like cancel method, error method, and done channel, etc. Derived context is passed to the child go routine and to facilitate their cancellation. Cancel function does not wait for works to stop. It closes the done channel and returns. Cancel function helps to avoid memory leak. Cancel function can be called from the multiple go routines. After calling the first call, subsequent calls do nothing. Let's talk about the context one by one. Cancel context with cancel. With cancel returns a copy of parent context with a done channel and a cancel method. If you invoke the cancel method, it cancels the context and returns to the parent. The return context done channel is closed when you cancel the context. So next is context.WithTimeout. When you are creating a context using with timeout, context countdown begins as soon as the context is been created. It takes the two parameter, that is parent context and the deadline, that is a time, and returns the context. The return context is a new context created from the parent. This context will be terminated as soon as the machine clock passes the given time frame. With timeout internally calls with deadline function, or we can say with timeout is the wrapper around the with deadline. Now let's talk about the with deadline. It takes the input as a parent context and deadline. It provides more control over the with timeout. With deadline, we set explicit time when a timer will expire. It takes the system time for the reference to calculate the timeout. In next video, we will see the code.